Welcome to the It brand, where we explore the intersection of celebrity, consumer goods, influence, and marketing. In each video, we will do a deep dive into a celebrity founded brand. My name is Jen, and today we're discussing Selena Gomez and her brand Rare Beauty. As an aside, as always, everything shared here is my opinion grounded in facts that I found on the internet, so please feel free to blame the internet if anything is amiss. These videos seem to be getting longer, but I hope you'll bear with me. Although last week's video, or the last video on Flower Beauty, I think was shorter, so I suppose we're due for something a bit longer. Okay, so Selena Gomez, I'm sure most of you are familiar. Selena Marie Gomez, born July 22nd, 1992. So she's a Cancer. And she was homeschooled for most of her life. Her mother had her at 16, and from what I've read, it seemed that they struggled financially, and Selena was raised at least in part by her grandparents. I'm probably wading into some sensitive territory here, as this woman has an avid fan base. And this makes sense. I mean, she's been in the public eye since she was 10 years old. She got her start on Barney and Friends in 2002 for 13 episodes before moving to the Disney Channel's Wizards of Waverly Place. And there she became one of the highest paid child actors of all time. I was past sort of the age when Disney was a thing for me when she was on the channel, so I can't even fully recall when I first became aware of her. I do remember really liking the song Bang Bang Bang. It was a great song to run to, so she definitely had some bops. I actually just put it on while I was researching this, and it still kind of hits. So Selena was raised Catholic. In her later years, she did attend Hillsong Church, which is a highly controversial megachurch. I touched on it briefly in my video about Hailey Bieber. It's linked to numerous sexual abuse scandals and homophobia, generally a terrible place. Selena left in December 2020 amidst reports that Pastor Carl Lentz cheated on his wife. So at 16, Selena signed with Hollywood Records. She has released 7 studio albums, 3 with Selena Gomez and The Scene, and 4 solo albums, including Rare in 2020. She also released an EP in 2021 called Revelation, which debuted at number 2 and was her first and only Grammy nomination. Her most recent album, released this year, 2025, is a collaborative album called I Said I Loved You First with her fiance, Benny Blanco. Overall, reactions to Selena's music career have been mixed. She's achieved commercial success with all of her 3 solo albums topping the charts in the US and going gold or platinum. Critically, she receives mixed reviews, some critics reacting kind of negatively to her vocals. I think it's fair to say that her vocals aren't very strong. However, when she tries, she can convey a lot of emotion, which many people respond to. I do want to emphasize the trying part here. During live performances, she often appears kind of not to be fully invested in performing. Many of her live performances have been panned. For what it's worth, that may not entirely be fair given her health concerns that we'll get to in a moment that could limit her vocally. In January 2024, she told the Smartless podcast that she would likely only make 1 more album to then return to focusing on acting, her makeup brand, her philanthropy. So it's probable that I Said I Loved You First is her last album, at least like in her mind currently. If you've seen her documentary, My Mind and Me, this is not a surprise. She doesn't seem to have much confidence in herself as a musician. Touring appears to overwhelm her. If you want a really good kind of deep dive into her music career, I recommend the Swiftologist's video essay on her career, and I will link that below for you. It's a really good kind of in-depth and thoughtful analysis of her music career specifically. In terms of her acting, she's received certainly more critical acclaim as an actor than with music, and has often kind of stated that acting is her true passion. She was in 2012 Spring Breakers, and more recently Only Murders in the Building. She's been nominated with that role in particular for Globes and Emmys. She was in Amelia Perez, which was again nominated for a Globe. She's also had a lot of success with Selena and Chef, where I think she gets to kind of highlight her personality quite a bit, and you can see why she's so popular, which we'll talk about in a minute. In this show, Selena and Chef, she's joined by a different chef each episode, and the show has actually like a great premise. She's really engaging, and for each episode, the show donates $10,000 to a charity of the chef's choice. So if you follow her career at all, if you follow stories about her at all, you're likely aware of a number of things. One, her physical health. So she was diagnosed with lupus around 2015. Lupus is an autoimmune disease where the body's immune system attacks its own tissues and organs. It can affect your joints, your skin, your kidneys, your heart, your lungs, your brain. There's no cure, but treatment can help control symptoms. Selena received a kidney from fellow actor and friend Francia Razzia. They've had some kind of falling out, possibly multiple falling outs over the years. It's a bit hard to follow, and honestly, Selena has had a lot of controversies or feuds. There's one with Bella Hadid that I don't totally understand. There's one with Hailey Bieber that I think is more understandable. There's one with Demi Lovato. Regardless, the falling out with Francia is at least partly related to a comment that Selena made, stating, quote, "I never fit in with a cool group of girls. My only friend in the industry really is Taylor," meaning Taylor Swift. So Francia responded with an interesting on the E! News Instagram post where this was posted and unfollowed Selena, to which Selena made what I do think was an insensitive comment. Sorry, I didn't mention everyone I know. In the documentary that we've already talked briefly about, so My Mind and Me, mention is made of Selena's kidney transplant, although Francia's part in it is omitted. They do seem to have patched up any differences most recently. And on the one hand, like Francia literally gave a body part to save Selena's life, and that's a deeply selfless act. Kidney donation is extremely painful. There looked like there may have been, I am speculating only, some HIPAA violation on the part of someone in terms of letting Francia know that she was a match like before, or letting Selena know that Francia was a match, for the kidney donation before Francia could learn on her own, which is very unethical. I don't think that's Selena's fault. Francia literally gave up a body part. But on the other hand, I'm not sure that we can or should expect that Selena would sort of endlessly fawn over Francia, endlessly fawn over this gift, be kind of internally indebted to her. And there's no doubt that this kind of gift, for lack of a better word, this kind of act can put a strain on a relationship. So I'm not surprised that they've had kind of some struggles with it, but hopefully, again, it does look like they've moved past it. As far as kind of Selena, she's been very vocal about vaccine equity, particularly when the COVID vaccines were first introduced. She went so far as to host a concert kind of pushing for donations for vaccines to health workers in the poorest nations. So physical health and mental health struggles is kind of probably one of the other things you know about her. She's talked a lot about mental health struggles. She's been diagnosed with depression, with anxiety, with bipolar disorder, and it was in 2022 that she revealed that 2 of the medications that she's taking for her bipolar disorder will prevent her from carrying her own children. In 2018, she was hearing voices, suffered an episode of psychosis. She says she only remembers snippets of this time, but ultimately ended up in a treatment facility where she said she spent several months in paranoia. When she talks about the documentary that she made, again, My Mind and Me, she says, quote, "It makes me so... It was terrifying for me to let people inside my world that way, but I was doing it because I felt maybe this would help someone. And that's what I care about. I just want people to feel less alone, and I want people to understand." So her physical health, her mental health, her relationship with Justin Bieber. She's had an on-again, off-again relationship with him. Feels like an understatement to say it like that. People are still really obsessed with the 2 of them, despite them having been broken up for like 7 years at this point. He's married to someone else. He has a child. She's engaged to someone else. I do touch super briefly on their relationship in the Hailey Bieber video, so I'm not going to do that here, but go ahead and watch that if you want. Two other things that you probably know about her. One, her focus on philanthropy and outreach. We'll talk about her Rare Impact Fund when we discuss Rare Beauty in more detail. But something that makes Selena, I think, really unique as a celebrity is that she often engages in very real and impactful advocacy, whether it's for undocumented immigrants, like with the documentary series Living Undocumented on Netflix, mental health advocacy, funding education in developing countries. She has talked really extensively about wanting the opportunity to give back. And then last, her social media popularity. So, as of September 2024, she is the most followed woman on Instagram. She was the first person to surpass 100 million followers and the first woman to pass 400 million followers. Like, truly insane numbers. This girl has serious fans. There's definitely been some drama surrounding how her fans kind of address others, particularly women, when they feel they have wronged Selena in some way. Francia, who we've talked about, has spoken about being bullied by Selena fans. Obviously, we have like Hailey Bieber, who at one point reached out to Selena to essentially ask her to call off her fans because she was receiving death threats. It's also kind of a running joke, maybe not to Selena, but to the internet, that she's constantly kind of quitting social media, and same. She often goes dark or announces a social media break and is then like right back to posting. She has a tendency to post and then delete right away when she gets pushback. A recent example being the post that she made about undocumented immigrants, which I think her taking it down was kind of understandable. Like the White House had a really gross kind of response to her video. Reactions to her posts are often mixed. I definitely understand the impulse to both kind of post when you're outraged and then delete when you receive a lot of maybe unwarranted hate for that post. As far as that particular post is concerned, I think she's kind of completely right to have empathy for the situation. I totally understand the feeling of helplessness. I don't really understand the thought process of making yourself cry and then kind of filming it and posting it. It makes her reaction feel kind of performative. Not, and I'm not saying that it is, but it definitely makes it feel performative. So she ended up receiving backlash, like not simply from like jerks who support the policy, but from people who don't support it, kind of calling her out of touch, admonishing her for making the situation about herself. And we see this a lot with posts that she puts up on her social. Like she'd received criticism for Black Lives Matter posts about Palestine, which we'll talk about like very briefly later. But overall, hugely popular. And I have some thoughts about her enormous popularity. One, I just do think she's a genuinely likable person. She seems quite relatable. I've been reading a little bit, not for this video, but for something else about kind of the weaponization of relatability that celebrities have. But I don't think that's necessarily what Selena is doing. I think she is just like pretty genuinely herself online, missteps and all. She's still relatively young. She spent the majority of her life in the public eye as a young actor, as a Disney kid, as a young pop star. Regardless of my personal feelings on child stars, I mean, I kind of think it's abuse. We as a culture are starting to reckon with the way that childhood stardom has stunted the growth of a lot of these stars as they mature into adulthood. I talked about Drew Barrymore already on this channel, the very troubled childhood that she had. We can look at Lindsay Lohan, Corey Haim, Amanda Bynes, Demi Lovato, Macaulay Culkin, Jeanette McCurdy. They've all spoken out about the harm they've endured by being in the public eye, right? Like being expected to work long hours from an early age, exposure to drugs and alcohol at young ages. Kids need stable environments. They need the chance to socialize with long-term peers. This is often missing from child actors' lives. And not to mention missing from the lives of people who are homeschooled. So for Selena, it's kind of a double whammy. I would imagine that dealing with rejection, with jealousy, with self scrutiny more than your average child would take a toll on your mental health. Not having the space to be a kid probably does lead to some stunted maturity into adulthood. It's hard to transition into adolescence and then adulthood when you've been kind of acting like an adult for much of your life. I got off track a little bit, but I think overall that Selena has matured, as would be expected for someone in her position. I don't totally fault her for her missteps when she posts or puts her foot in her mouth sometimes. I do hope that she's learning and growing and listening when she messes up. There's definitely a pattern with kind of messing up and apologizing, but I think she does genuinely want to learn and grow. Like an example, she starred in a Woody Allen movie. But she responded to the backlash by donating her entire salary to the Me Too movement. So I think there is some missteps, sometimes huge, but then there's some self correcting. I also admire, and I think one of the reasons that she's so popular is because she's been very open about her struggles with mental health, with past romantic relationships. I think that the ability or desire to share her life with her fans so prolifically is at least part of the reason that we see this kind of long lasting connection that she's made to her fans. And again, in her documentary, she doesn't seem to enjoy social media, or certainly has a love-hate relationship with it. Certainly social media is terrible for public. Well, it is terrible for public health, but it's also terrible for mental health. She's probably more engaged than she should be online, but it does account, I think, for the reason that she's so relatable to people. She's also aspirational, obviously, but she's quite accessible as well. She's beautiful, but she's been really open about like body image issues. She's still learning to accept herself, and she's really open about that. And that resonates with a lot of people, even as it frustrates them. I think that ability that she has, though, to connect with her fans explains Rare's initial popularity, but I don't think it explains Rare's ongoing success. By the time Rare launched in 2020, people were definitely over celebrity brands, and if we only knew how many more were coming. Rare launched during a global pandemic when people weren't wearing much makeup. We were stuck at home. We were wearing masks when we were out. But because Selena is I keep saying the word popular, I can't even think of a better word to describe it. Because she's so well liked and well known, people went really nuts for the brand, especially on TikTok. I do think Selena's initial celebrity gave the brand its first flush with success. Everyone wants to try it, right? But what has kept it going is how good it is. In many of the reviews I've read, many of the reviews I've watched, especially early on, people were really surprised by the quality of the products and how much they liked them. They're a privately and independently owned brand, meaning that unlike Flower Beauty, which was incubated with Mesa, or Fenty, which was with LVMH, they don't have a parent company. Selena is listed as the founder, and they launched in Sephora with a really wide portfolio, which is a bit unique. One aspect of Selena as a brand founder that I've found interesting is the lack of need to establish herself as a makeup lover. I've talked a little bit before about celebrity founders of beauty brands expending just like a ton of bandwidth working to convince the public that they've always been passionate about the thing that they're launching. Gwen Stefani kind of telling the same story again and again and again about working as at a makeup counter when she was young, or Hailey Bieber launching a lifestyle channel ahead of Rhode's skincare launch. But with Selena, she had so much kind of popularity kind of built into her brand already that she did not have to go about doing this. People just already like knew her and already trusted her. And so she didn't have to spend the bulk of her time just like convincing us that she was passionate about this, that this wasn't going to be just a cash grab. So they launched with quite a number of products, like a pretty wide launch portfolio, like foundation, concealer, primer, mist, liner, pencil, lip balm, etc., lots of things. I would say prices have definitely increased since launch. They have been very transparent about price increases, and that's one of the kind of things that the brand prides themselves on is their transparency and their connection to their customers. And I think it's expected over 5 years that prices will increase. Prices are not drugstore. They're in Sephora. They're definitely like high-end prices, but they're also not the most expensive. The really popular soft pinch blush is $25. When it launched, it was, I think, $19. On Sephora for liquid blushes, $25 is on kind of the lower average compared to brands like Charlotte Tilbury or Dior, which both clock in at over $40. The concealer brush, which is another popular item, is $18, the lower end of this kind of high-end category. Lip oil compared to like full size for House Labs. So like the lip oil is $22. House Labs is $26. Rihanna's Fenty is $24 for the lip oil. Again, that's still kind of in the lowish. Like Tom Ford is $62. That's a lot of money for a lip product. And on the company's success, Selena has said there's a real craving for people to have something accessible, something inclusive, something that isn't complicated. That's at least what I hear the most about. And then the blush, of course. Why is it successful? Obviously, Selena. Some of its early success, the brand's early success, is due to her. She's a known entity. She's a lot of goodwill attached to her. But, and this is a big but, that only gets you so far. Banking solely on your cachet as a celebrity might bring in that first round of cash, but you cannot build anything lasting solely on that. So Rare has remained successful because I think of a number of factors. Brand identity, makeup quality, TikTok, and the brand's philanthropy. I don't think these are necessarily in any order, but let's talk about them. So, one, brand identity. The brand has a very identifiable aesthetic and packaging. The packaging is unique enough that the aesthetic is easily recognizable as Rare. Not every product has that like interesting ball for the lid, but enough do that it clearly belongs to a Rare product. Consider like Flower Beauty compared to Rare, both incidentally makeup brands by former child stars who have openly discussed their mental health concerns. Flower is notably a drugstore brand, a workhorse brand. They don't have the same uniform brand identity that Rare does. And look at their website, their packaging. This isn't to say one is better than the other, but Flower, as a less expensive brand that intentionally put its money into formulas and not into things like marketing and branding and packaging, they're going to have a more kind of disparate identity than Rare, which then in turn means that they're going to sell their products for less money, and Rare can sell its products for more money. It looks more luxurious. It's a more luxurious experience. Now, there are some who claim that the packaging is easier to open for people who have dexterity issues. I think this has been debunked a little bit. So, Robert Welsh, who I reference a lot on this channel, shared an email that he had received from the brand that said they have not conducted official testing on the packaging, so they cannot officially make the claim, but that ease of use is important to the brand and Selena. As a side note, while I was researching this, I did find a brand that has worked hard to create accessible packaging, Tilt Beauty. I'll link them below as well. I'll link everything below as per usual for you guys. Okay, so brand identity, 2, makeup quality. I've already talked a bit about the quality of the makeup in those early review videos. The quality seemed a pleasant surprise for many. So many reviewers noted that they weren't necessarily Selena fans, but they really liked the products the brand put out. In our last video, we did a deep dive into Rihanna's Fenty Beauty and their very disruptive release of 40 very inclusive foundation shades and the state of the makeup industry prior to 2017. Here, we see the impact of that with Rare releasing 48 shades of both their Liquid Touch Weightless Foundation and their Liquid Touch Brightening Concealer. Now, their hero product is definitely their Soft Pinch Liquid Blush. It's hard to say. Soft Pinch Liquid Blush, which retails for $25. It really did take the internet by storm, and in 2023, it sold 3.1 million units of that blush alone. It has 14 colors, comes in both radiant and matte finishes. I'm not really a blush person because I always feel like I look like a clown when I wear it, so I will let these people tell you all about it.
The blushes, liquid blushes, you guys saw the swatches, they are pigmented, okay? They, again, blend nicely on the face, still show up on your face. I thought these were lippies, but these are blushes. Pigmented, like, it looks like a gloss or something. Oh, do you see? Ooh, it dries quickly. I do like that. Wow. It's very pigmented. Let's see what it would look like. Oh, that's pretty.
That's quite a good amount of color. I'm looking at my monitor here, and I really like the way my skin looks. This for me is perfect looking skin.
The Soft Pinch Tinted Lip Oil is another standout. It sold out immediately when first launched. And it's not just the standout products that make it a great brand. On the whole, the products are consistently good, they're user friendly, they don't have a learning curve, they look pretty great on even beginner makeup users. And as a total side note, they also launched a limited edition set of dog toys to celebrate their new Leaping Bunny certification. And how cute is that? Ah! All right, so the third, I think, kind of factor in their success, TikTok. Few brands have seen the boom in TikTok popularity like Rare Beauty. Uh, kind of two methods really, paid and organic content. So let's talk paid content briefly on TikTok. As with most social media platforms, brands can advertise their brand business page. They do a pretty good job. Rare, I would say, does a pretty good job jumping on trends. Like they created a video for the Rare Beauty account in 2024 featuring staff using the I'm a blank, of course, blank trend. The video garnered nearly 2 million organic reviews. And so when we think of a marketing strategy, typically when I think of a marketing strategy, what I'm doing is I'm kind of laying out at a high level 3 goals: awareness, trial, repeat for your customers. So, awareness, or what sometimes we can call like upper funnel tactics in social media marketing, help users understand that the product exists. It provides education about the product, like how to use it. It establishes your brand as an authority in kind of whatever category you're in. This could involve, for Rare, using Selena herself on her own social media page, or leveraging popular content creators to showcase the products before or after launch. They have a good number of videos literally just showing the products being created, which helps create authority, build excitement and awareness for products long before they even launch them. So, after awareness, we have kind of trial or conversions, which is essentially kind of making the sale. This might be as simple as like a call to action. If I were so inclined for a call to action, for example, I might say something like subscribe now, comment on, and like this video. Has done things like ask employees what they should put in their Sephora cart, or encourage people to like buy now because the sale is going on. And then finally, awareness, trial, repeat. After trial, which is that initial purchase, you need to continue to bring in revenue. So annoying, you guys. I'm so sorry. So you want to ensure you have repeat business. Obviously, the quality needs to be there for this to happen, and we've already talked about that. But you also need to build brand loyalty by engaging with commenters on TikTok, in this case, putting out lots of relevant and top of mind content. On TikTok in particular, you need to be like entertaining and funny and to keep users interested in your account. And the brand really is beloved on that platform. Creators make over 400,000 videos using the hashtag like rare beauty. All right, so the last thing, philanthropy. So let's talk about philanthropy. Oh my God, why can't I say that word? Let's talk about philanthropy and why I think it's an important vertical for the brand. At the most recent South by Southwest, Rare CMO Kate Welch gave a speech on building community with the brand. As I mentioned earlier, they announced just before the pandemic that they were launching the brand, and then they launched in 2020. Because it was the pandemic, they used the opportunity to hold weekly Zoom meetings with hundreds of people. Eventually, these were called Rare Chats, to learn from consumers. And what they learned is that people had a hunger for trusted sources for mental health. These chats led to the creation of the Rare Beauty Mental Health Council, which is a critical part of the Rare Impact Fund. The Rare Impact Fund represents I'd say, a very thoughtful approach to philanthropy with a focus on mental health and self acceptance. That's directly from the website. A portion of every sale from Rare Beauty goes to this fund, not a portion from one or two products. I think that Fenty's approach to philanthropy is wonderful, but I think Rare goes farther, where every single item you buy, a portion of that goes toward the fund. And their mission, I'm going to read this directly. The Rare Impact Fund is mobilizing $100 million for organizations increasing access to youth mental health services and education globally. Their goal is ultimately to be a channel for donations to go from their audience to vetted mental health nonprofits. You can see some of the organizations that they have helped out in 2020, and this is from their social impact report. So of this, Selena has said, quote, everything that I did prior to Rare Beauty had an element of giving back. So when I worked with some of the greatest brands, they were all willing to do something, and I was also willing to say I'd take it from my pay. And then when I was meeting with the final team that we had hired for Rare Beauty, which at the time was maybe 5 of us total, I said, I want there to be a percentage or something. I need you guys to help me figure it out. That's when we created the Impact Fund, which started before we sold a single product. You know, I'm impressed by this. I'm impressed by how open Selena has been about her mental health, about her struggles. And I think she's really devoted herself to this cause and has really kind of put her money where her mouth is. I think she's done this for a lot of her career, actually, not just with mental health, but again, as we mentioned earlier, with education, with undocumented immigrants. I'm grateful that there are celebrities, kind of whatever else you might think of them, that are willing to do so much to help people. And I don't think it's unfair to say that Selena is a decent actor, kind of an unconfident and maybe reluctant pop star, but she's a great brand ambassador. And I think more importantly for her, she's a generous person. It really does feel like she wants to be a philanthropist. Like that is what brings her the most joy in life. And maybe singing, acting, even Rare Beauty give her that platform and that financial freedom to spend more and more of her time on her charity endeavors. Has the brand had any scandals? Honestly, as a brand, they've managed to kind of avoid a lot of scandal. There have been calls for a boycott of the brand over Gaza. These first began when Selena posted that she was taking a break from social media and, quote, I wish I could change the world, but a post won't. This was regarding the Palestine-Israeli conflict. Many commenters deemed it too neutral, with not enough recognition of the Palestinian suffering, and said things like, quote, only Selena Gomez would find a way to make a genocide about herself. Another said, quote, she's downplaying her massive following and being hypocritical. Another one, quote, if a post can't help change the world, why do you call yourself a philanthropist? Why post about mental health, Black Lives Matter, women's rights, American elections, et cetera, et cetera. And yet another, quote, Selena Gomez is literally the third most followed person on Instagram with almost 500 million followers. A post will make a difference. Some social media users have also alleged that the CEO of the company, Scott Friedman, has pro-Israel sentiments based on who he followed on Instagram, although you can't he's either unfollowed or he's made his account private, so you can't see it anymore. Outside of that, the brand itself hasn't had any recalls, any bad customer service complaints, or anything that we see from other brands. They did, like nearly all brands, do at one point have a trademark battle with another company. Rare Beauty Cosmetics, not to be confused with Rare Beauty, and Rare Beauty Cosmetics filed a petition to cancel Rare Beauty's trademark registration. Now, Selena's Rare Beauty acquired the trademark first, so it doesn't seem like Rare Beauty Cosmetics has much of a case. And whatever you think about Selena Gomez, I think it's clear that her brand is one of the rare celebrity brands that has found success kind of outside of its creator. Due, I think, to a lot of things: its unique products, its quality products, its approach to community building and philanthropy, its marketing tactics. The brand is now valued at $2 billion. Gomez is allegedly worth 1.3 billion. Now, on being a billionaire, this is an incredibly privileged quote, and I think I've made it clear via other videos. I don't think you can be an ethical billionaire, but she said, quote, I don't really pay much attention. I don't think anything about me has changed. I don't think that I feel different. I think I'm just really proud. And also, personally, I just don't think it's anyone's business. So Selena has found success via her acting, via her music career, her social media presence, and her beauty brand. Even if she isn't sort of the strongest voice musically, even if she isn't the most kind of critically acclaimed, or even if she doesn't have the most consistent or healthy relationship with social media, she still really resonates deeply with her fans. What I think that ultimately comes down to is she's a great curator. Whether she's surrounding herself with smart people, selecting projects for herself, sort of being a brand ambassador, she has great instincts when it comes to picking projects. And that, I think, has led to her continued success